The night air was heavy, thick with the scent of wet earth and decaying wood. A forest, ancient and forgotten, stood at the edge of a small, dilapidated town. No one dared go near it, not after the strange disappearances. The locals spoke in hushed tones about the woods. They said it was cursed. Amelia, a daring young journalist from the city, had heard the rumors. She laughed them off, eager for a story that would make her career. Armed with only a camera, a flashlight, and an open mind, she ventured to the woods alone, convinced it was just superstition. The woods were dense, shadows creeping between the trees like dark spirits. Her boots crunched the dead leaves beneath her as she walked deeper into the heart of the forest. A light breeze stirred, but even that felt wrong, like it was alive and watching her. Her flashlight flickered for a moment, then steadied. As she ventured on, she felt a strange unease creeping and something was wrong. An eerie whisper danced on the edge of her hearing. She paused, feeling the hairs on her neck rise. "Who's there?" she called out, her voice shaky despite her best efforts to sound confident. No answer came, just the howling of wind through the branches. But then, just as she turned to leave, something stopped her. The trees around her seemed to shift, closing in like they were alive. Suddenly, a chill like ice ran down her spine. Her flashlight revealed what she had missed earlier. There were markings on the trees. Symbols scratched deep into the bark, forming a strange pattern. As she knelt down to get a better look, the whispers grew louder. The voice wasn't coming from any human being. It was too distorted, too otherworldly. Amelia's heart pounded in her chest. The ground trembled beneath her feet. She stumbled backwards in horror as the whispers began to form words. "Leave, leave, or become one of us." Panic surged through her body. She turned, running in a blind panic. The forest around her seemed to shift and change as though it was alive. Every step she took led her deeper into its labyrinthine grasp. In her rush, Amelia didn't realize that she was leaving a trail of her own, distracting yet terrifying. The sound of her heartbeat drowned out all other noise until she froze. Ahead, just barely visible in the dark, stood a figure. A pale, ghastly figure, its limbs contorted at unnatural angles. It seemed to flicker in and out of existence. The figure didn't move, but watched her with eyes that were too empty, too wrong. As Amelia tried to back away, the ground beneath her feet gave way. She tumbled down into an underground cavern. The fall was brutal, her body slamming against jagged rocks. She gasped for air, but it was heavy, stagnant. The whispers returned, louder, now all around her. Amelia's flashlight illuminated the cavern. It was vast, its ceiling so high it was lost in the shadows. The walls were covered in carvings, blood-soaked symbols from an ancient ritual. A voice, louder now, called out from the dark, promising pain and agony. It echoed like a death sentence. "Why? Have you come?" The voice hissed, slowly taking form behind her, a figure now tangible, dripping with black sludge. Its limbs were made of twisted branches, roots creeping from its back like living veins. Amelia scrambled to her feet, her heart racing in her chest as she backed into a corner. The creature reached for her, and as its hand stretched forward, it froze. Amelia's breath caught in her throat as she realized that the markings on the walls began to glow red, ominous, like an ancient power that had lain dormant for centuries. The creature snarled, drawing back in pain as the blood-red markings radiated a force field that protected Amelia momentarily. The creature screeched in fury, retreating into the shadows with alarming speed. The whispers died down, the air thick with tension. Amelia, her hands trembling, tried to catch her breath. It seemed like the forest was offering a brief reprieve, but she knew it was not over. She picked herself up and fled. The darkness swallowed her footsteps. The forest now felt different, alive, hostile, like it was watching her every move. The once familiar trees twisted as if they were keeping track of her position, trapping her deeper. Through the darkness, Amelia finally saw the faintest sliver of moonlight. She ran toward it, fighting through the crushing atmosphere that tried to keep her there. Her lungs screamed as she fought for air, every breath a struggle. Emerging from the dense trees, she was back at the forest's edge, but not alone. Standing in front of her was the pale figure again, its eyes glowing with an unnatural light. It spoke again, but now the words were clear, cold. "Your curiosity has awakened us." Before Amelia could scream, the figure stretched out a tendril toward her. Her body froze as the tendril coiled around her, lifting her into the air like she was weightless. She tried to fight, but her limbs wouldn't move. The creature's grip was suffocating, and her last scream echoed into the night. The next morning, the forest was silent again. The sun rose over the town, oblivious to the horrors of the previous night. But those who ventured near the woods reported strange occurrences, whispers in the wind, and fleeting, pale figures lurking in the distance. Some would tell of a woman, a journalist who had disappeared, swallowed by the cursed trees. And sometimes, on the wind, when night falls thick and heavy, they could still hear the whispers. "Leave, or become one of us."